Hello, swivel heads. This is Greg Allison with Green Greg's coming to you tonight with special guest Stacy Zavicki. And she has a brand new channel called Battle Axe. And I'm going to tell you what, Stacy puts it on the line. She calls it out for what it is. She tells you about topics, and it's a very interesting channel, kind of like me. She had a gardening homesteading channel called Sustainable Stewards. And then she started a new channel to cover what's going on in the world of prepping type topics, which is smarter than me having them all in one channel, although I did separate my space channel. So she does have separate audiences for these, and she's got a pretty good Raven channel on TikTok. Now, I'm not a TikToker, so I don't know how to tick my talk or talk my tick or whatever time and ticky talkie works. I've not got there yet. Maybe I need to do that, but I've not been a big fan of TikTok since they trounced on Mr. T. So, but maybe I need to explore it, because I did actually quote Jim Dorsey, or whatever his name is, Jack Dorsey, and about his hyperinflation quote. Although there's some people say we're going to go into a depression that's going to go the other way. So the economy is on a roller coaster. Our country is like it's in a toaster. And Stacy Zavicki, she's got the axe and she's bringing it forward to tell you what's going on. She'll pare it down all the way to the bone. I like Stacy. She's hard hitting. She's smart as a tack and tough as nails. And I've said that many times. She is a patriot. She will tell you what she thinks. And I've recruited her. I've had her on my channel several times. And yeah. I was so impressed with her. I recruited her to join our new Freedom Restoration Foundation. And maybe we should maybe talk a little bit about that tonight. But I mainly want to talk about her channels and some of the topics that we talk about, or that she's talking about, and let her just kind of take this away. So just remember, guys, ladies and gentlemen, right now with all the prepping going on, with all the prices and supply chains getting kicked and smashed, I'll add her YouTube channels in here in the chat, or somebody else can do that. If not, I'll get it in here a little bit later here. But guys, subscribe to her channels, both of them, Sustainable Stewards and also Battle Axe, and click the update notification bell and hit all. Her Battle Axe channel is very new, and it definitely needs some support. So I ask y'all to please give her all the support you can. And if you've not subscribed to my channel, please subscribe, bang the notification bell, and click all. And since the whole world is going to heck in a handbasket and prices are shooting up, I do say you ought to go to prepwithgreg.com and check out the special deal you get right now with this food. The last 25 years. Check it out, guys. Now's the time to do it. 25 years. Prepwithgreg.com. We got a special on 3-month supply. $100 off. Can't beat it, guys. Breakfast, dinner, 2,000 calories a day makes you a winner, because you don't get that with all these others. And there's a broad selection. And just go to my Patriot Supply logo. Okay, enough of that done. We got a lot of people popping in here. My friend Chewy Weather up in the new Northwest is getting hit with some weather that's probably quite chewy, because they're getting storms. They're in a bomb. What do you call it? A bomb, whatever it is. It's kind of like a hurricane up there they're dealing with. They're getting a lot of wind and rain. They're being rocked so hard. So
now I called my friend Jenna out in Washington, and they are not in the line of that storm. But in all honesty, man, they need the rain out there. They need the precipitation. So, this is why we always talk, Greg. You people need to be prepared, because you pray and you pray and you pray for that rain. It may not come as you want it to. So you better have a generator. You better have some food in the house so that you can weather the storm, literally.
All right, Stacy, let's do this. I'm going to do a couple of shares here. I got to go back to my Zoom page. I want to show your websites here. And give me a second. I think I'm on, yeah. There's us. Let's see here. Here's your channel that some of the members here are familiar with. I'm sure some of you have subscribed to this channel. If you haven't, please do.
This is, and you know what? It's a great it's a great channel. It is a more of a tutorial type based channel. I teach how to be self-sufficient without being relying on any equipment like tillers, garden tillage, anything like that, any equipment, 100% no-till. I also teach how to that highlighted video there right on the top. That's how I teach people to raise chickens without having to depend on a feed mill. See, Greg, back when my great grandparents and probably your dad had chickens, they didn't have mills to run to for all the corn and the feed. They got fed table scraps. They got fed, they were free ranged outside. And I even got a tutorial on there how to make a maggot bucket. It's MAGGON, as in maggots from flies, so that you can make a maggot bucket. And the maggots, when the flies come in, they, you put the rotten meat in there, and the maggots hatch, they come out and they crawl up the sides, and it's like heaven, a smorgasbord for these chickens, because they'll sit underneath that bucket and they'll peck the maggots all day long. So I have things on there like that, so you can be self-sufficient and not dependent on the system, because everybody gets into homesteading and they think, all right, I'm going to go get an acre, 3 acres of land. But then they're just as dependent on that mill and that system as anybody else is that eats off that system in the cities. So you have to understand that there's ways to do this without breaking the bank, and so that you truly can be self-sufficient. And that's what that channel focuses on. And I give you all the tools, because guys, I'm providing for 35 to 50 families in a CSA without tillage, without equipment. Most people don't do that. So you can see in the little pictures there, I got my standing plant. I show you the tools that I use. If you're going to plant 300 tomatoes, 400 bell peppers, you can't be bending over and planting them. You just can't do it. You're not, I'm 43. When I got into this in my 30s, I said, all right, I want to be farming into my late 60s, early 70s. So I invested in tools that could get me to that goal. So I share all those things on that site. I have some spiritual things about my faith there too, and some dreams and visions, and all that stuff is there, and that's great. But the new channel, I wanted to expand, and I didn't want to hijack this channel and just start, changing the subject when people were there for those topics. So I pop in there once a month to give people an update and answer any questions and stuff like that if people have. But I'm really focused on building the Battle Axe channel on YouTube and TikTok.
Well, there you go. And that is this channel right here. Yeah, it's right here. It is. This is the Battle Axe channel. And I don't know, the playlist might not be a good way to see what's really on here. I say hit the video button up here, and you'll see every video she's posted. You can sort on it by latest, earliest, newest, most popular. And she needs more subscribers, guys. 111. That's a nice symmetric number, but we need to break that and pop it up, guys. So blow that number up tonight. Some of our videos only got like 15 views here, guys.
Yeah.
We need to blow this up and get her some views, get her some subscribers, because she's got some hard-hitting topics in here. Will not comply. Stand up now. I mean, she is pointing her finger and laying it on the line. So, and here's her. This is her, I guess, banner page right here. This artwork. It looks kind of like her with an axe and a shield, being a Viking warrior. She's got Viking ancestry.
Well, sure. That's my nickname. A dear friend of mine, Michelle, she passed away a few years ago at the age of 50 of cancer. But there was 3 of us, and she had nicknamed me Battle Axe because that's just my kind of attitude and the way. And I do. I've got Norse ancestry in me, and Germanic and Slavic, and I thought it was fitting. And I made that video there and actually talked about the Shield Maiden and how, that's for me in my home, being my husband's helpmate. I want to be by his side, at his back, shielding him from the arrows and the blows. And that's kind of how we take life. And that's what I want to share on this channel is, coming together as a family and facing the things that we have ahead. And, I come against I'll just say it. I love my brothers and sisters in Christ, but I come against La La Land Christianity or doormat Christianity that says we're supposed to be subject and abused and, stomped on. I come against a lot of that. And talk about topics of, weather control, other things like that. And that's Greg and I had talked earlier today. I'm going to be upgrading my Zoom so I can do some live interviews, and I want to interview Greg about some off topics, boy, and get into some things that are eye awakening and thought provoking for sure.
There we go. There we go. Well, yeah, we can definitely do a lot, and I look forward to that. I'm going to try to paste some of your channel stuff in down here in the chat room here, guys. So hang on a minute.
That'd be great.
Okay, I'm running 2 computers so I can do both at one time, and I'm not saying that I'm great at either one of it, but
Yep.
I am trying to do this just so I can. Oh, we hit the wrong thing there. So I can let you guys see what she's got here. And so let's see, we're doing the Sustainable Stewards channel first. I can find out where I'm at again. I'm flipping around too much here. Oops. All right, guys, there's the Sustainable Stewards link. Now I'm going to do the Battle Axe link. Guys, go on these channels and subscribe. Bang the update notification bell and click all. I really think the world of Stacy here. She is a real patriot, and she's out there giving it her best. She's got a lot of heart and a lot of soul. She's a very devout Christian. So just like we both tease around about our Viking origins, but don't misunderstand the Christian faith there, guys. Don't misunderstand that at all, because it's there. So she is, let's see, try to get this thing up. I'm in the wrong one here. All right, guys, bear with me. Bear with me. I've got several different screens I'm trying to flip through, and I'm getting lost.
That's okay.
So, all right, I'm going to try to give y'all her Battle Axe channel here link. So it's coming. And Stacy, what inspired you to do the Battle Axe channel? I know there's stuff that's near to your heart, and it's outside of Homestead. And so just tell us about it.
Right. Well, there was a lot of spiritual or faith-based stuff that I wanted to touch on because, as a Christian, what we're seeing in the world, prophetically wise, there's a lot of stuff coming that comes into question that could be end time prophecies and things like that. So I really wanted to put a channel where I could highlight those kind of questions and focus in on that and just be an encouragement to people to stand in faith. And, the Bible says over and over, come out from amongst them that you not be given over to their plagues, to their sin, to their judgments, to their, and the Sustainable Stewards channel is great because it teaches how to do that. But I also didn't, that channel wasn't set up so that I could preach that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? And on this channel, I can say, hey, look at this is a scripture. Now go over here. I tell you how to do this. Come out from amongst them. We're seeing in our society over and over again. I mean, just look at and I'm just going to call it a snake bite. Okay. That's what I refer to it. You know what I'm talking about, right?
Snake bite.
The snake bite. We're seeing the snake bite mandates all over.
Yeah.
Because, our society has been so molded into this Babylonian kind of a economic slave trade, really, and so my whole goal is to get people to think, hey, I can start my own business. I can be self-sufficient. I can be an asset and a light to my community and come out from that system. And I'm not saying that we're never going to be subject to anything just because we come out, but we stand a lot better chances than most people that are in it. So there's that aspect of it. The other aspect is a passion that I have for farming. There's a lot of threats to farming, and there's a lot of political agendas against farming and coming up. And I share that here. I get into that some on the other channel too. But again, like I said, that was more of a tutorial based type of thing. So here I can get into a lot of the political agendas against agriculture. I can come against the lies, you know, and really hammer that in and give people my firsthand knowledge and wisdom, you know, from running a CSA farm and raising pastured meats. And I also milk 150, 200 cows 6 days a week on a small family dairy farm on top of what I do. So I've got, you know, all in agriculture, but 2 different industries in the agriculture that I have expertise on that I can bring to that platform. So, and then I get into, you know, I get into the Nephilim and the, you know, aliens and all that kind of stuff that people are afraid to talk about. You know, Greg, I've sent you some pictures, brother, and you know what? I've sent Greg, you know, when you're a farmer, you're outside from morning till night and then after night because you're checking to see if coyotes or wolves are killing your stuff. So you're outside at all hours of night. And man, me and my daughters, we've seen stuff over the years. And I've sent Greg the pictures. So I know where I stand biblically and what I think this stuff is, but I send it to Greg to get his kind of know-how because he was a private NASA contractor and you know, got to reach out and get all those views. That's kind of, you know, that's what I want this channel for. I don't want it to be just one thing. You know, we need to broaden our minds, you know, that's what it's there for.
Amen, sister. So yeah, and I think we're pretty much on the same page as what we think all that stuff is.
Yeah.
We're not from outer space, my friends. Take it from a space guy. There's something really fishy and really evil about a lot of what we see in the skies.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean there's not some angelic entities out there, but most of the stuff we're seeing today is not your friend.
No, I don't believe so. And in my lifetime, Greg, since I was 18, that was the first time I seen a UFO. From the age of 18 till just a few months ago, I've seen like 12 different, you know, different UFOs, whatever you want to call them, different things in the sky. And the last one, which was a little too close to home because it was right over our farm and my daughter was with me. And when I did the video, you know, we could see these lights, they come out and they disappear. And everybody said, oh, you know, it's drones. And this was not drones. It just wasn't. And then when we looked at the camera footage, there was a huge ship, a big triangular ship that we couldn't see with our human eye, but it showed up on the camera on the phone. And when we saw it, my husband and my daughter and I, we went, you know, because it was right there, but we couldn't see it while we were outside. So yeah, I mean, we've seen stuff and yeah, I don't believe that it's from our outer space either. I believe it's from within the earth. I believe the Bible says there's different chambers of hell and, you know, there's the fallen Nephilim and all that kind of stuff. I get into all that kind of stuff and explore that because I do believe, you know, I'm sure you are aware that the head of NASA just came out talking about this stuff, right, Greg?
Yeah, I saw the headlines. I didn't read the article.
Yeah, I listened to the interview, and basically he said that he hopes that they aren't nefarious or have ill intent towards humanity. He claims he doesn't know. I would think he probably knows more than what he's letting on, but you know.
May or may not, be honest. I mean,
right.
Everybody thinks NASA knows everything. It don't. It's and you know, he was a senator prior to running NASA. I've been in his office when he was a senator. I think I had a big sway over him in our space program when I did. Also, he was a congressman before that, and he's the only congressman that ever flew on a space shuttle. So
wow.
he actually was on a space shuttle back in the 80s.
Okay.
I think it was before the Challenger accident, back when he was in Congress. But he represented that district there where the Brevard County in that area where,
Sure.
they launch the rockets from, Cocoa Beach and Titusville and all that area. But he spent quite a while as a senator. He became a senior senator. And he was on the Democratic side though, but I actually went in his office, and I think I made space history getting a deal with getting him to take on a compromise deal I proposed. So it's interesting. I go at it more in the future, but guys, everybody thinks, NASA this, NASA that. Well, most of the stuff that's got to do with space is not controlled by NASA. We got a lot of agencies involved in space.
Sure.
The NOAA, the National Atmospheric and Oceanic Administration, tons of different groups in the Department of Defense, all these other nations. There's military, space agencies, and lots of private companies. And there's literally thousands and thousands of amateur astronomers out there that got nothing to do with NASA. So everything's NASA. I hear it all the time. So, and I kind of think some of the stuff we see does belong to our government just because where we see it at.
Right.
But that don't mean NASA got anything to do with it. They might.
Sure. I get what you're saying. Yeah.
But there's also different NASA field centers, and everyone's got a different personality. So it's kind of hard to say. But anyway, all that aside, I didn't mean to make this about NASA, but you kind of brought it up. I'm just trying to fix the record.
Yeah.
I don't know what he knows in that area. He may or may not. So I don't know.
Yeah. Well, he made it clear that they're trying to find out. And, I say good. But more and more governmental officials are talking about it, and I think it's a good thing. But I also think it's something that people need to be aware of so that they're not bamboozled or deceived as well.
Bingo, right there. Yeah. Right there, exactly. Because what we don't know is, maybe I should take this out of the screen share just so we can talk here more. At this point, what we don't know is, are they setting us up for something? Is it going to be the new age? Suddenly they're going to arrive and they're going to bestow us with everything. So we should all kneel down to the new helpers, the new enlighteners, the new masters.
Or we seeded you on this earth. We're your creators. You were made in our image, Yeah. Any of that.
And who are they really?
Right.
Rather satanic, or maybe it's like the book How to Serve Man.
Right.
From the old science fiction movies, and what that book was really all about was man on a platter.
Yeah, exactly. Are they here to farm us? That kind of thing. I happen to believe they derive from Genesis 6, the fallen Rephaim, the Nephilim, fallen angels that Genesis 6, they took raped women and made giants. And that was all through the whole Bible. And in the book of Enoch, you can read the book of Enoch. He blows that up and, says even more what they are. But you can't deny the fact there's something there. I mean, there's Egyptian hieroglyphs, there's Israeli hieroglyphs, there's Native American hieroglyphs, there's all this stuff. I mean, there's Native American pictures in the United States of spaceships, or whatever kind of ships you want to call them, flying saucers, whatever. There's all this stuff. So, I think it's cool and it's fun to explore these kinds of things. But I also think it's a duty to do it, because it's also spiritual warfare, to make sure that we're on the right side of this. And like I said, we're not deceived,
Well, there's something in Revelations called the Great Deception. It's so great that even the elect would have been deceived.
Yep.
Except for what? There's a big deception coming, and the Bible tells us that.
Yeah.
What is it?
Well, and that's the thing, it says the Antichrist will have this great wound and be brought back to life. There's going to be this. How does that happen? Some people believe
that's coming. We know that's coming. There's some other deception out there. Because we know that one's coming. So what is the great deception?
Yeah.
I mean, that is a deception, but there must be something bigger. What is it?
Yeah. All I know is when the government says, hey, they're here and they're our friends. The government ain't even our friends. So
There you go. Amen. Now that I give an amen to. So Here, we're from the government. We're here to help you.
No, thank you.
Hi, I'm from planet Regulus B. I'm here to help you to whatever. Thanks.
Yeah, no, no. So yeah, so that's just kind of the, fun little topics I talk about. Also, just that, like today I had I made a video about the propane. I'm out harvesting wood, splitting wood. That's what that's my chore this time of year. That's what I do. And talking to a neighbor, and the neighbor says, yeah, I called for our propane, and our propane company said that if I don't get it in the next couple of weeks, they can't guarantee that they're going to get it to me because of the supply chain issue. They told them right out, it's that the propane is there. There's a plethora of propane. That's not but the supply chain to get it to the customers is broken. So he was warned by the propane company here in Wisconsin that he goes through to get it in the next 2 to 3 weeks, or they possibly couldn't get it for him. And with that, of course, the price is going to go up. We know, we all know that. But it was about 6 years ago now here in well, I don't know if you remember this. Do you remember the last propane shortage we had, Greg? It's about 5-6 years ago.
Don't really strike a bell with me, but yeah, I get
But
that.
you're down south, so maybe you guys didn't get hit as bad as we did. But
I
at
don't
the
hit-
time, we were not living in a house that had a wood burning stove, and we had a 250-gallon tank. And to get that 500-gallon tank, we had to fill it at least halfway with 250 gallons. And Greg, that 250 gallons would have costed us $1,500.
Whew.
We didn't have the money at the time. So you know what we did? We moved the kids. And see, this is kind of the stuff I talk about. Texas got hit with that storm last year. And we've survived those kinds of situations for weeks with no heat or hardly heat. So we moved the kids from the upstairs bedrooms down into the living room. We had a kerosene lamp, kerosene heater, and we had one little boxed electric heater that we had to be so careful because they can start your house on fire. And I heated the house with candles and oil lamps and things like that. And we had to survive 2 months in Wisconsin with like that. So, I talk about when I say, I was so disappointed in all the death in Texas last winter when that happened, because it didn't have, listen, if we can survive here in Wisconsin, right, for 2 months with candles and oil lamps, you folks down south can survive a night or two, so it's things like that I talk about, that the preparation and then of course the politics behind it, diving into too.
Hey, I want to give a shout out to Mickey Mooney. Just gave an awesome super chat of $100. Thank you, Mickey. Really appreciate it.
That's
That's what makes coming here and doing live sessions worth a while, guy.
Yeah, that's
Appreciate
great.
it. So, yeah, we don't have quite the heating needs that you've got up north, and so the propane issues don't usually make a big splash down here. I did run into a problem myself though last winter. I used kerosene to heat my greenhouse, and suddenly I couldn't get any kerosene. I ran out, and then the big snow hit, and because I have the greenhouse hot, that snow stuck on the roof instead of sliding off, crashed my greenhouse.
Yeah.
So that did me a lot of damage. So, even though I would buy several gallons of kerosene at a time, I went through it all. So I really needed a big tank, I guess. But I've never seen it run out down here before. And here I am, a prepper, and I wasn't sufficiently prepped for that. So, so I can appreciate what you're saying. But, people in the South here just, we're just not thinking about cold weather as much. I mean, there's people that barely have anything to stay warm. And they're just, they're not like, people up north. You don't have to have the same amount of stuff. You don't have to have snow gear typically because we get so little of it.
Sure.
There's no snow plows. There's not equipment to salt the roads down here. That's why schools shut down, and people just don't have the experience of driving on it and dealing with it. Now, I lived in Alaska 2 years, and you drove on ice 9 months out of the year up there.
Right.
I got pretty used to it, so I got an edge over my local, neighbors down here in that regard. But
Yep.
and you and I actually did a video together about staying warm in the winter. You remember that?
Yeah, we did. We did. Yeah, I hope it helped somebody last year anyways.
Oh,
You know.
do these. That's why we do these.
Right.
Trying to help people, and that's what I like about your channel. There is that suddenly you've got another venue and outlet to come out and do things. So I got a mistake here. My channel is combining gardening, homesteading, and prepping. Although they're similar, you get a lot of people that aren't linked in together on these topics.
Right.
And
right.
it causes issues in my viewership, and also with the platform knowing how to promote my videos too.
Right. Well, and my TikTok account has about 20,000 followers on it now, which is pretty great. I get a lot of it's been a learning lesson for me to finagle the community guidelines over there. And there has been some things that, like I'm blocked right now from going live. But it's like the wild, wild west over there when you go live, because you just you'll get 500, 600, 700 people that plop in all at once, and there's only maybe there's half or 1/4 that really want to know what you're talking about and agree with you or whatever, and then the other half are just a bunch of trolls that are trying to shut down your channel. So you got to be very careful what you say. I was talking about how to help your small family farmer, what to do. And I was specifically talking about that. Then I specifically talked about an Amish boy that drowned this last summer, and the quote unquote on the death certificate, they labeled him CV, cause of death. And so of course all these people on that channel came misinformation, and they started flagging me. If they don't believe you, they start flagging you. That's the problem with TikTok. There's a lot of intolerance there from certain groups of people that you don't have that here on YouTube. On YouTube, it's more of a community kind of gathering. So you really have to, if you go over to TikTok, man, you gotta know what to say, what not to say. And most of my videos though that I put up, you can put up to 3-minute videos. Those have all been pretty good. And if I've had any of them flagged, I appealed them, and I want every one of them. So, I know who owns, we always call it them who cannot be named, China. And we know that they own the platform, but in all honesty, there's a huge patriot movement over there, that there's a huge freedom movement over there. And there's, because it's 3 minutes, because Americans, that's literally the attention span they have, is 3 minutes, it seems like. That's why I think that platform is so successful, because people go on, they talk 2 or 3 minutes, and people move on. That's kind of how our society is. They want what they want in 2 to 3 minutes, and then they move on. So that's kind of what that is over there. If people hop on that, so they're shorter. But I really want to focus on the videos that I have over there, like this, doing an hour interview and really digging in on subjects. That's the nice thing about YouTube, is you can really dig in and divide things. You just can't do that over there.
What do you do in 3 minutes? I mean, what do you do?
Well,
Takes me 3 minutes to clear my throat.
Well, Greg, I've been a public speaker for quite a few years now, and I know you've been a public speaker too. You've done a lot of platforms, and I've been preaching in churches and teaching in churches and all that kind of stuff. So for 3 minutes, for me, when it comes to I look at it as kind of like sharing the gospel. You got your you got your talking points, and you come down, and I'm able to do it in 3 minutes. But yeah, you really gotta have your thoughts put together and lay them down. and get it out and move on, you know. But here you can mess up and you can start over again, and you know, people are more forgiving.
Yeah, that's good. Well, you know, you develop a family here in YouTube because
Yeah.
especially the people that come in the chat sessions. It's a lot of the same people that come back. I may have 52,000 subscribers, but there's probably the core group of maybe 2,000, maybe a little bit.
Right. Yeah.
And you can bank on about 2 or 3, maybe 400 being, you know, the people that normally cycle through your sessions. So,
Yeah.
you know, but you know that you see the same people all the time. You chat with them, and you develop a camaraderie shift. So
Yes.
especially when you do a lot of live sessions. So we're really like a family here. I do a lot of my live videos just for that purpose. I mean,
Right.
our channels, and most channels will have a topic for every live video. It's I got to cover this, I got to cover that. But you know, they still mostly do that camaraderie shift thing. But sometimes I do a lot of videos. It's just to have a chance for my people to get together and chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
That's a nice thing.
now the other people that's not in the core group at the edges, they probably don't like that.
Right. Right. Yeah,
So,
and that's why I do want to get back up to 1,000 on YouTube, because it's every time I go live on TikTok, my live gets banned because you get some troll out there that, you know, and the reason is because, you know, Greg, we're coming against the collectivism, you know, that's what it comes down to. I did a video over there talking about, you know, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, and
all that.
yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
And you know, I truly believe, and for those of your viewers watching, Shadrach, if you may not know this, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were 3, you know, Hebrew Israel, you know, Israelite boys. And that was when you know, God gave Israel over to Babylon, and they're living in the midst of Babylon, and the Babylonians say, hey, you're going to eat meats slaughtered to our false gods. And they say, no, we're not going to do that. And it came down to why the Babylon wanted to do it is because they wanted to prosper their society. They wanted their society to be successful, and they didn't want their false gods to strike them dead. So they said, you're going to do what we're going to do. And I equated it to the snake bite today, the mandatory snake bites. Why are they mandating all this stuff? Because they want the collective to succeed. And that's the method, and that's the avenue that they believe that's going to cause it to succeed. And damned be the person that comes against that. And that's what Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego did. They said, nope, we are going to honor our God. We are not going to eat false meats that have been sacrificed to false gods. They got thrown in the fire, and the furnace was turned up, and Jesus stepped in and saved them. And so, you know, my message is that we got to stand our ground here, because this isn't a battle. This isn't a political battle. Okay. It's not a left-right battle. This is a spiritual battle against good and evil. And we are battling the same evil that David and, you know, Daniel and Shadrach and Meshach and Abednego, all those biblical, you know, characters fought then. We are doing that now. But today we call it a collectivism. We don't call it Babylon or Egypt. But it's the same evil that we're fighting. And, you know, we have to stand strong. We got to do this together, whether you're a Christian and you believe those stories or you don't, and you stand firm in freedom and liberty. If that's where you at, you're still fighting that battle. Even if you don't believe in good and evil, you're fighting that battle, you know? So yeah, that's, you know, we just got to stick together.
Amen to that. We got to stick together. And, you know, I've started a movement toward, you know, getting this tribe movement going. It's just a lot of work to get everything organized. I've got so many things I'm juggling here. So I do have some volunteers that's going to be working with me to scrub those lists, and we got to make a bunch of phone calls. I've got Excel spreadsheets. I'm trying to get it all organized in. Wow, so much work though. We got so many things happening. We're trying to, you know, I got a day job. We're dealing with this mandatory thing they're trying to force me into. And, you know, I'm trying to see how if I can do an exemption, or, you know, so there's just a lot of stuff I'm juggling. You know, I'm working crazy hours in my day job. And then,
Right.
you know, and it's insane to be doing that just where they might kick you out the door. Uh, and then I'm trying to get my farm going, and I'm trying to expand into mushrooms. I got the microgreens. Uh,
Yeah.
that may be my fallback. I may need that to survive. I mean, you know.
Well, that circles back to what, I spoke of earlier, is coming out from amongst them. So you're not subject to those kinds of things. And you know what? The good Lord may have put that passion in your life for them worms just for this, this reason right here, you know, that, I know you had to shut down for a little bit there, but you were doing quite well with the worms there for a while, weren't you?
Yeah, the problem is I was selling more than I was growing, and now I'm trying to regrow my herd, and I've had to rebuild a bunch of beds, and just a
Sure.
lot of work, and it's just it's hard to find hired help, and there's just so much things that's got to be done.
Yeah.
Even when I do hire help, it's hard to manage it if I'm got to be sitting here in my day job at the computer. So it's
Right.
a lot of different things I am juggling there. So let's see, new days. The Stacy is from Wisconsin. People wrenches, let it go to the
What's that?
I think New Days is saying something to people that are moderating here. She's talking to other moderators. So
Oh,
I
gotcha.
think she's telling them to go a little lighter there.
Yeah. Yeah. If people do. Yeah. I am from Wisconsin. I am in the North. And yes, I do realize I speak with a Wisconsin accent. Yeah.
Nothing wrong with that. And it's a cheese state and a dairy state, and you work in your day jobs at dairy. You run a CSA on the side.
Yes.
How many families do you feed?
If I want to if I want to do if I want to make extra money that year, I'll push it to 50, but I'm comfortable at 35 families. And then on top of those 35 families, I have a farm, I got a greenhouse farm store. I also in the past have started farmers markets in various, communities in the area. For instance, we have a lake community just north of us here, and there's a huge cheese factory, and people from Chicago and Milwaukee come up to that cheese factory. Do you guys have the Lions down there? You like the Lions clubs?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so there was a Lions club sitting there, and I drove by that place a couple times. I thought, man, that'd be a good spot for a farmer's market, just because it's right next to all this traffic and stuff. So I ended up starting up a farmer's market there. So, and I was a lot of years selling to restaurants and stuff like that. Well, then when, the Wuhan Wiggle hit, the restaurants went under. So that was a big hit for small producers that were, producing for a lot of those restaurants, and not every restaurant went under, but the restaurants in the smaller communities did go under. And so if you want to, agriculturally speaking, get into the restaurants now in Wisconsin, you got to go to your more populated cities or more affluent, and I say that like college towns and things like that, where you got more of your professor types and things like that, because the small agricultural towns and things like that, the mom and pop restaurants, they're gone. They're just gone. The only thing we have, but you got the big McDonald's and everything that are still going strong, and it's just sad because, people don't, and I just made a video, what's one thing you can do for your family farmer to support that farm, those farms, and keep them going? And it's call the farms, buy direct, buy right off those farms. And then secondary to that is go to the restaurants that buy from the farms. And those restaurants, your money is staying local. It's a local restaurant. It's not a corporation. Go to the small family foods grocers, the independent, grocery stores that are buying locally off the farms. Those are all the things that we as Americans have got to start doing. And you know what? It's 10 years too late, Greg. It should have been.
Right. You've often heard me on my channel tell everybody, this is your vote. You
That's
vote
right.
with this. This is the most powerful, honest vote you got, because when you spend this for something, you're voting for more of that thing that you spend. And I've said over and over and over, we need to be spending our money locally to support
Yep.
local farmers, local artisans, and smaller companies. Because what's happened with this bug thing? Have you noticed that the billionaires have become $1.9 trillion richer, and this
Yeah.
is at the expense of the small guys. The small guys have been wiped out. A lot of small businesses have been wiped out. But what do those small businesses represent? They represent individualism,
That's
strength,
right.
families, being able to stand on your own 2 feet. The goal is that nobody stands on their own 2 feet, that we're all subservient, that
Yep.
we're all sucked into the hive.
That's
Was
right.
survive, thrive, and stay out of.
The hive. That's
Exactly.
right. That's right.
So, and
Yes.
that's part of it. It's how you spend your money. It's how you vote with your dollars or
Right.
whatever currency you're spending. Support your locals because they're your friends, they're your neighbors. It's better for the environment, but it's better
Right.
for you because you get higher quality food. It's not shipped all the way across the country. The local farmers can grow vegetables that will not survive on the store shelf. They're not the tough, carrots that that's made out of wood almost that you got to
Right.
saw with a chainsaw.
Right.
These are nice, tender, tasty, and scrumptious vegetables that you will get from a local farmer that you'll never get out of a store. They're high
Yeah.
quality. They got more nutrition. And anything, the longer something's been picked, the nutritional value starts going down. That's what you're
Right.
getting out of the stores. Get something that comes straight out of the ground.
Right. That's right.
So that's how you do it, my friends. And that's
Yeah.
why you need to support people like Stacy directly, and all the local farmers, local artisans too. If you need some electrical work, no, look for the little guy, not the guy with the big ad.
That's right.
Trying to drive the small businesses out of business by creating, like I had an electrician tell me he had to file 21 different certifications. They were like, he had to take a class for everyone to test. He had to take a test every year. And the fees for them were like, I don't know, maybe $1,000. It's insane. So these are small guys that they're being wiped out, all in the name of safety.
Yeah.
And even the local towns are in on it because the bigger companies come in and they probably kick money into campaigns or whoever's running for office to support them, support their business. And they go and ask, hey, we need to do this for safety. Well, what do these big companies do? Sure, they get to spread their cost out. They spread them out, so it's not a big deal for them. It's a tiny thing on them. Where a small company, it's that big part of their cost.
Right.
Big companies, it's nothing. And these big companies charge you more money than the little guy does, and they send a snot-nosed kid out usually to do the work who don't know jack diddle. Whereas you're displacing a seasoned veteran at the job who might have worked decades, who could have came out and told you, all you got to do is place this little solenoid valve on your AC system, versus that kid's going to tell you, well, you got to spend, $5,000 because all this stuff is junk now, and you got to place it. So that's the difference in experience. That's the difference in, and you're not getting safety. I've had some of these kids come in and wire stuff, and they really mess things up. Not to say the other kids might not, but fundamentally you're not getting anything better, anything extra when you go with these big companies, all under the guise of safety and blah blah blah. It's a sham. It's a sham. The best way to know this stuff is word of mouth. Let's go to companies and find out who other people support. This whole thing on the internet where you can give somebody 5 stars or so many thumbs up.
Right.
That's the way to do it.
Right.
So your local artisan, your local plumber, your local electrician, the small guys, the HVAC repairman, small guys.
Lumberyards.
They're being driven out of business. They're being wiped out by the big guys who don't deserve it. But the big guys, they're getting bigger and bigger, and they want to fix where nobody works for themselves. Everybody has to work for the man. Of course, that means you got to take whatever mandate they put upon you at that point.
Right.
You're going to be a slave, a serf in a system like that. Because they don't want independence. They don't want freedom.
And Greg, what some people don't realize, we had a situation up here a couple years ago with the Menards. And I want you guys to know this is not a Starbucks shirt. It says shoot bucks often. It's actually grunt style. It supports our vets. So I want you to know I practice what I preach. I'm not going to buy a shirt from Starbucks. But anyways, So the Menards Corporation or company up here, which is a big lumber tools, it's, you know, it's a big handyman kind of store, and it's Wisconsin, Minnesota, the UP, Illinois, it's all through the Midwest. It's a big company. So a couple years ago, we had an Amish family in Wapaka County, 7 kids. They get kicked out in February of their house. You want to know why? Because John Menard, the owner of that company, systematically over the years has been pushing legislation at the state level to continually push and force more regulations and more regulations and more zoning, code, everything on homes that are built. So when this Amish family moved in and they had an outhouse, they didn't like that. When this Amish family said, no, we're not going to put your smart fire alarm in, because I didn't even know there was such a thing, but there's smart alarms now. And the county wanted this Amish to put a smart alarm. They said, no, we're not going to do that. Well, guess what? The Menards Corporation came in and pushed to have them evicted because they didn't have the plumbing. And you want to know why? Because if they can force the Amish, the Mennonites, the independent, self-sufficient people in and make these regulations, well, then they got to go to the store, because see, they got to get that little stamp on that wood that says it's been inspected. It's money for them. They don't care about your safety. They don't care about how your home was built. It's so they can make that money off of you. And that's what people don't understand, is that's what these corporations do. They're at the state capitals, at the federal capitals, and they're pushing to regulate you, to regulate you into, you know, submission. When you, like out in Colorado, when they outlawed the ability to collect rainwater, that didn't come from just some county. That came from corporations in the government pushing to have that done, so that they had to buy the water off the shelves in the supermarkets.
That is so stupid. People should fight that with every tooth and nail. Scrap. That is taking a basic liberty away. That is just, you know, that would infuriate me. That is anybody that ever voted for a proposition like that ought to be run out of office and never allowed to hold any political office ever again.
That's right.
I mean, people ought to just rise up and run these people off. I mean, frankly, we need to clean house anyway. Most of these politicians stink to high heaven.
It's
and then they get scuttered out.
Yeah, and you know, we always talk about the federal government as being the wicked and the corrupt, but there's just as many corrupt people at the state levels. You know, I
talk about with all these. It's a lot of times it's your local municipalities and counties and metropolitan areas that would come up with all these standards that the little guys got to pass in order to be certified.
Right.
And sometimes it's at the state level. A lot of that is state level.
Yeah.
That is wiping out people. That is wiping out businesses.
Well, it's the same with the mask mandates. You know, I homeschool my daughter. Okay. I believe in homeschooling. And if you guys, any question for you people out there that, well, I'm not qualified, this or that, curriculum's designed so that you can homeschool your children with success. Don't let fear enter in. But I went to support my sister because my nieces, I mean, the second they found out they were going back to school and they had to be muzzled, the anxiety came in, the panic attacks came in. And so we went to the meeting, and you know what the first question on there was? Who's getting the money from the federal government? Because these school boards are getting federal money to push the mask mandates. Where's that money going? Who's getting it? They're corrupt. And to this day, through my sister's school district, they still don't know who got the money and where it went. But those kids they're having to wear masks. And unfortunately, my little niece Cammie, she had a chronic cough last winter. Summer, mask came off, cough was gone. She's back in 2 weeks. She's got a chronic cough again. It's from this. It was from this. And these people that say that these masks aren't harming, aren't doing. Greg, my dad died last December. Now, this is what I tell people. He didn't die of COVID. He died with COVID. There's a difference. Okay. My dad had congenital heart failure for years prior. He had lung failure because he had sleep apnea so bad and he refused to go to the doctor. My dad was a lifelong hardcore alcoholic. He drank himself to death. He was in kidney failure, all this stuff. The beginning, right after Christmas, he got the COVID. Okay, he was in the hospital 4 days with it. They let him out. He was home 2 weeks. We spent Christmas with him, you know, the whole bit. He was home 2 weeks and he started going downhill, and they put him back into that COVID unit. Do you want to know what the nurses said that they couldn't control? He had a bacterial infection in his lungs that they couldn't get under control, and they don't know where it came from. And I looked at that nurse and I said, I know exactly where that came from. It's from the dirty freaking masks is where it came from. You know, and she couldn't deny it. She looked at me and said, I can't tell you you're wrong. But he didn't die of COVID. He died with COVID. There was a difference, you know, because of his life, you know, choices. But so, you know, this stuff is still going on. We have most of the small school districts in our area are all choice. You know, they all have the choice. But the bigger school districts, it's all mandatory right now. And people are still fighting it. But again, they're saying, well, we got to wait until the next election. And then there's me.
In Alabama, we've not had one kid expire from the bug. Not one.
Right.
Yet they're wanting to now they're coming out with, they're rolling out the juice for what, 5-year-olds and up?
Right.
And is that how soon until that's mandatory?
Right.
And we're already seeing a lot of kids are having trouble with the juice.
Yeah.
With heart problems.
Yeah.
So, you know, what is going on here? This is, in my mind, this is criminal. And the mask, I know when I wore a mask, you know what happens? My throat gets sore.
Yeah.
When you get sore throat, what's happening? You got a raw area. You get a raw area, it's susceptible to infection.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's susceptible to infection. And so you're already carrying a lot of bacteria in that thing because it's wet and because of all the breath and whatever. Yeah, that could be a problem. That could be a problem.
Right, right.
Now, if I'm in a real crowded area where I know there's a lot of stuff going on, I'd be tempted to wear a mask just because I know that, you know, it won't stop a virus, but most of those viruses are resident droplets.
Right. Right.
Droplets. But then again, those droplets are all over that mask. You don't want to just put your hands all over it and put your finger in your eyeball or, you know, or pick a tooth and you didn't do yourself any. So, but anyway, all that aside, yeah, the masks have their problems. They definitely do. But
well, you know,
put them in kids.
The kids, their hands, you know, they're not going to keep their hands off their face. And, you know, on my TikTok channel, somebody said to me, oh, you know, a doctor, they're in a surgery for 12 hours and you're telling me that they can do this, but these kids, number one, if you are comparing a hygienic, you know, surgical room, you know, that has been bleached and doesn't have, to a kid's classroom, which is a petri dish, you can't, it's apples to oranges. You cannot do it.
Well,
you know,
the people asking those questions ever have kids? I mean, if you ever had a kid, watch what they do. I mean, everything goes in a kid's mouth, and the kids will always be putting their finger in their mouth, their eye, their nose, their ears, all these vectors, ways, passageway to get a bug. And you can tell a kid not to do it. The cows come home, and 2 minutes later they forget about it. They might think about it, but they're going to forget about it and going back to doing what kids do. And, you know, they may eat dirt, you know, or God knows what they're going to do, but, you know, a kid will be a kid. And so suddenly you putting a muzzle on that kid, that's of no use. It's of no use.
Right. I think the best thing for the kids is to be on farms, take them to the park, let them eat dirt. That's better. That's going to keep their immune stronger than anything, in my opinion. That's my opinion, by the way, YouTube. It is not backed. There is actually scientific backing that says that farm kids are healthier than most kids, but you know,
farm, or maybe that saved me. And Regina's now talking about our governor making stuff, executive orders. Problem is, where I'm at, I work for a federal contractor. They're going to follow whatever the agency is they work for.
Right.
And furthermore, the agency has now novated the contract. Our contract now says that they will do certain things and there's certain requirements. So now it's in my company's contract.
Oh,
It don't matter, even if the president has not actually gave an executive order, if it's not
right,
it's in the
right.
contract for my company. So I've got till the 8th to either step up and do what I'm not going to do,
But
or
isn't this
or have or have some kind of an exemption that they accept.
isn't this the mind-blowing thing for you? There's no law, you know, executive orders, these edicts, these dictatorial, edicts. It's not law. It hasn't been voted on by Congress. It wasn't made into law. But how easily these companies and these corporations and these, the medical industrial system, they've just laid it out. The government didn't have to do anything. These entities in the government didn't have to, because they knew this was all planned out. They knew these companies would just do what they wanted them to do without a fight. And to me, it's the most mind-blowing thing there is. I thank God my husband works for a business where the owner has said, I will sell and shut my doors before I mandate that on my employees. So I mean, granted, my husband would be out of a job, but that's one of the reasons why I'm bolstering my business this year. And I'm going to go for broke. I'm going bigger, going for broke this year, because the next year or two, we're going to find out, because my husband makes vitamins, and vitamins are under the FDA. And even though his employer says no, if the FDA comes down and says, you know what, you do this or we're shutting you down. Because I'm going to tell you, the FDA has been trying to shut down vitamin companies many, many years. Every year there is something. The vitamin companies have to prove to us that orange, like vitamin C extract works. Prove to us that, strawberry has vitamin C, and they want them to put all these studies forth, like Big Pharma, they have studies, right? Well, that's how they want to put them out of business, is because these vitamin companies can't do that. They don't have the money Big Pharma has. And we know that the vitamin companies right now is what's keeping people healthy. Vitamins and minerals is what's keeping people healthy. And we know that this government doesn't want healthy people, because the FDA is in bed with Big Pharma. And that's the bottom line.
No money to be made in health.
Right.
No money to be
Right.
made in health. So, yeah, we're in a real predicament here. It's a real predicament. It's a piece of work. So, yeah, it don't even make good logical sense. But these companies, see, what's happened is, because the bureaucracy, all these agencies have gotten so big, and we've gave them so much regulatory power. They
Yep.
pass regulations that aren't laws.
No.
But those agencies will come out and fine you. They will take your home. They will take
Yep.
your property. Where do they get this much power? How do we wind up with a government like that? And is that constitutional? That wasn't what our founding fathers had in mind.
No.
I guarantee you
No.
that. If they saw that today, they'd be throwing fits, saying the kind of things that the government agencies do. And these agencies are all part of the administration. The administration, that's what the president runs. And so the president has come out with a rule to say what one of his agencies is going to do. So he picks on OSHA, which in the name of health in the workplace. So that's the angle they're fishing around at. But through that, they're mandating major things that people supposedly have to do that may be against their belief system,
Yep.
maybe against health requirements they have. But they, in some cases, we see people being let go already let go, and
Yeah.
trying to file for exemptions already been let go. So it's going to be, and all this is at the same time that we're having labor shortages like we've never had before in our country. Now suddenly we're about to kick out a whole bunch of people. Interesting. I mean, if you guys, if you don't think we got an economic train wreck coming,
Yeah.
then all I can say is I hope you're happy with all that bliss you're having.
Well, Greg, I just touched on a video, and people can look that up on my Battle Axe. I touched on that very thing about kicking. Well, number one, they're getting rid of the patriots. They're getting rid of the people that will not bend over to tyranny. Okay, we know that. But the question is why? And I've submitted this in my video. Remember back when Obamacare came through and all of a sudden all the doctors started asking you how many guns you had in your house?
Oh, yeah.
What? All right. Well, now the very
we don't use-
healthcare.
Oh, yeah, we don't use that word on our channel anymore. From now, if it's forward, it's nugs.
Oh, okay. All right. Nugs, you said?
Yeah, nugs.
Okay, nugs or pew-pews? Okay.
Okay,
well,
nugs.
the doctors kept asking how many nugs you have. And I remember this very vividly because I went and I looked at the doctor right in her face and I said, what the hell is that any of your business?
Bingo.
Well, fast forward to where we're at today, Greg. There's reports that the patriots and the freedom-loving people that are not submitting to the snake bite, they're getting forced out. And there's reports that FEMA is taking their jobs. FEMA doesn't have to take the snake bite. Now you have government employees in the medical industrial complex where you gave all your private information. You've got federal employees in there with access to how many nugs you have, with access to all that information you gave them doctors over the years. Now you can call that conspiracy theory and, oh, they're not doing that or whatever. But I'll tell you what, this plan has been laid out for many years, people. And I knew when they started asking about nugs back in, 10 years, or, when Obamacare came through, I knew something was up with it back then. Why would doctors be asking what purpose does this serve for them? And now you're going to have federal employees in those buildings with access to that information. Something to think about.
Well, let's take it a step further. We've always said that our military will never come against the people because we got too many patriots there.
Not anymore.
Duh.
They purged them.
Purge.
Yeah. Yeah, they purged them.
Guys, this is a live action role playing session.
Yeah.
Anything you hear, we're just here playing and chatting to move pieces on a chessboard in a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
It's called the globalist endgame. We're playing that globalist endgame. It's all just theoretical conspiracy theories. We're just chatting back and forth.
It's a Monopoly board.
Yep.
2030 Monopoly.
But Greg, people got to start thinking outside of the box like that, and they've got to start using discernment. You can't just can't be giving your information to anybody. Even your neighbor, your family members. I mean, Greg, God bless my friend, and she may watch this. My friend Anna Marie, her and her husband got the bug. Okay, grandma got the bug, was 96. They're all okay. Everybody's okay. But the husband went and did the test. All right. Even though he lost his smell and he lost his taste, which should have told him, yeah, he had the bug, but he did it anyways. Okay. They just had a daughter and a granddaughter move in the house, and her husband, or the daughter, and she just had a newborn baby. Well, the county calls the husband and he starts telling all that they got this new baby. Well, the husband is allowed to go home. He's no longer in quarantine because he got the, in the nose. And they made my friend quarantine for 14 more days because she refused the test. Never mind, she had the symptoms 2 days before he did. So they were penalizing her. And so my point to this is the daughter and the son-in-law didn't even want her coming home. We talk about tribes. No, the Bible says, know them who labor amongst you. There's reason that Jesus Christ and, Paul said that. Know them who labor amongst you. And Jesus even said, father will come against son, daughter against mother, and so on and so forth. And here's a little example of a family. The mother got the bug, and the daughter and the son-in-law said, you can't come home to your own house. You need to stay out because you need to listen to the state. This is the kind of stuff you need to pay attention to. Families are being divided over this nonsense. See, we can talk what we want about them purging the police and purging the medical industrial complex. And yes, they're going to federalize it. They're replacing it with federal employees. But they are separating the family units. They're dividing them amongst each other because that is where their real battle is. If they can divide the home, husband and wives and children and parents and vice, all that stuff, they win this battle. We can't let them into our homes. Divided we stand, united, or united we
Well, they got
stand.
in your head. I think they got there. They sound like they got you programmed there, Stacy.
You know what I mean? So it's just, we have to. I thank God that she's soon to be on Thanksgiving. She's gonna be 22. She's my 14-month-old grandson, and she's pregnant she's due on the 25th with my second grandbaby. Her and her husband live with us. We are all on the same page, and when you people out there in YouTube land go to meet your tribes, to see people or even family members, you better drill them. You better grill them and know where they stand. Because if a family is willing to kick a mother in her 60s and say you need to live in the camper in the park, so take that into consideration with all this stuff coming. Lots of sheeps and goats are being separated right now.
Amen. 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 And a lot of sheep are being led down the goat path too.
Yep. Yep.
To that final processing plant in the sky.
Yep. That's right. That's right.
End of the
And
road.
it's sad. It's sad.
Yeah, it is sad. It is very sad. So let's see. So I'm gonna read some of these comments. I've been trying to respond to some as we're going through here. So, Stacy, I really believe that we just have to band together. If you're in a community where you don't know your neighbors, you might need to get out of there. You might need to ask other friends, that you know of who are preppers, if they would take you into their group or their tribe. And a lot of them would be very happy because they know they got to have somebody to have their back.
Right.
I've made one shot at forming a tribe here, and we're trying to set up a neighborhood. Some of these around the country. It's taking time. It's taking a lot longer than I had hoped it would, but we're still working it. So we'll have more to come on that. But do talk to your local people, your neighbors. Hope you're in an area that's not urban. If you're in an urban area, you need to get out. There's going to be too many people around here for my taste. Huntsville, Alabama, the town 14 miles south, maybe 12 miles south of me now, was the third largest city in Alabama at the beginning of this year. It's now number 1.
Really?
Number 3 to number 1. They're building houses around here everywhere. Houses, apartments. And guys, if you want a job, this would be a place to come if you but you probably got to have the jab to get the job. So I don't know, guys, but there's a lot of service things a person can do in the area. So, but my career has been contracting as an engineer. My whole career has been contracting defense work and NASA stuff. So, my career is, looks like it's on the end of the rope unless I can get an exemption. So we'll just have,
I believe you'll get that, Greg. I believe you'll get that.
I think it will, but I also know that I don't want to stay in this forever. I'm seeing that even if I stay in the saddle for a little while longer, it's just going to buy me a little margin to do the things that I need to do and want to do. Because if I get outed right now, it's bankruptcy. There's I just have to file bankruptcy. But if I can get a few more months, another year or two, I could fix all that stuff. It's going to take some time.
Right.
So, well, we've had a lot of conversation. We've been all over the map. Now, one thing that Stacy alluded to was talking about the pressure on farms. I did send her some articles today. I think would be a good topic for her and I to discuss in the near future. I think Stacy and I need to come back here and pick that up. Also, New Days Always is still in the house. Her and I had a very long 3-hour session covering thumbnail sketch of all kind of stuff to do with healing and, how you could survive with physical disabilities like, maybe diabetes, cardiovascular problems, with it hitting the fan without getting the medications that you're accustomed to.
Right.
How do you survive in that case? That's a big question that worries a lot of preppers. And I think we need to dissect that into smaller bite topics and
Yeah.
probably do some regular installments of that, and maybe bring in some other people to talk that kind of stuff too. And I did have the discussions with an individual last week about the border. I need to bring him back on, Anthony.
Anthony, the
Cause
real Anthony.
stuff is cooking on the border right now, and it's going to get really interesting over the next several months. We're under challenge right now, and I really got to wonder if we're still down and purging things out of our protective people. At the same time that's going on, China's rattling the saber. I'm just wondering if everything's going to come unglued at once. Guys, I don't know what's coming at us entirely. I mean, I see a lot of signs, a lot of worrisome signs, guys, lot of worrisome signs that a lot of things could pop loose at the same time. So this is really the time to have your eyes wide open, head on the swivel if you've never done that before.
Yeah, we have never been at this junction in the United States in our history.
Exactly.
People can argue the Civil War, but guess what? During the Civil War, no matter what side you were on, whether the North or the South, people were united. They were united. We have no uniformity now. It's just we're on such thin ice right now, historically speaking, and dozens of threats from every direction, not just one or two things.
Domestically, we're more divided than ever. I think it's worse than it was then, and there's a lot of hatred on both sides, and it's fever pitched. So you look at that domestically. Then you look at the economy domestically. You look at the economy globally. On top of that, you look at China. You look at Iran. You look at Russia. You look at North Korea. There are so many threats out there all at once. We've never seen anything like this. Never in our history have we seen so many things coming at us at one time. Now, we can hope and pray that, that all this stuff just magically blows away and that suddenly it's a beautiful day tomorrow morning. But, you better bank on having that hard day, having that hard time. You better bank on it hitting the fan. I mean, look at inflation. Look at the same time, we got depressionary tendencies too in the economy. So we may have inflation and depression simultaneously. We've never seen things like that.
Well, and food, they keep saying food prices are up 40%, but they're up 50%.
Hey, somebody, we got a bot in the house. Somebody needs to wipe that bot out. There we go. Thank you. Yeah, somebody's in here putting child junk. Yeah, they know what we're talking about. So we're being spiritually attacked, guys.
Yeah,
we're under spiritual attack by somebody trying to spread child porn or something here. That's awful.
Not welcome.
Yeah, maybe we need to pray for them guys. That stopped. One time we had a big attack like that, and we just started praying and run them off. So
that's right.
Yeah. Hey, Gorgeous Awesome's in the room. Hey, Gorgeous, how you doing? Greg, I said, Regina, Greg, I'm still looking to get up with you so we can work some things like gardening and medical. Yeah, there you go. So we do need to get together. Thank you, New Days Always. She's quite a Delft moderator. So, yeah, Joe, it's creepy. I hear they come back trying to do it again. Well, that just shows that we must be spiritually on the right track to attract the devils like that. So the devil's in the house trying to attack us, but they shall not prevail because we shall not be moved.
That's right.
And that
is the bottom line. That's what we touched on. That this is a battle of good and evil. But you know what? We know who wins. The Alpha and the Omega. Amen. We know who wins. He's already won, as a matter of fact.
Amen.
So we just have to go through the show here, so to speak, and watch it play out.
That is what it is. But we want to do the best we can by our family, our loved ones, and that's part of it, right? So
that's right.
Yeah. So shoot, my time typing and the words are disappearing.
Awesome. But you know, Greg, the one thing I do have to say is, you know, outside of those families that are being separated, there's a lot of families coming together. That's the one blessing with this whole thing. You know, my son-in-law and daughter, we had to move them out. They lived with us for a year prior and they got out for 3 months. And the landlord did not disclose to them that the house was infested with cockroaches. We don't even have cockroaches in Wisconsin. So that tells you how bad this place was for this place to have cockroaches. Okay.
Wow.
So, I mean, they were on the baby's crib, for God's sake. So we got them out of there. And one of the things that my daughter said is like, every time we try to move out and, you know, do our own thing. It's like, the Lord just says, nope, you got to go right back where, you know, because my point today is don't always think because you have to move back with your parents that it's not the hand of God. Yeah, there is a blessing in keeping that family unit together, you know, and there's a blessing in kids being homeschooled. All this stuff is good. It's a good thing. My husband and I are even considering, after we get some things settled, adding on to our house and making it 2 houses in 1. So, you know, because they've been looking for Greg. So Wisconsin, in where we're at anyways, rent was traditionally very cheap. I mean, you could get a very nice place for $600 to $650 a month, 2-3 bedroom apartment. You could even for $800 get a whole house with 3 bedrooms and a yard. And in 3 months, Greg, a 2-bedroom apartment that is just a dive is now $1,500 to $1,600, and you got to have a 700 credit score to get into it.
Wow. Wow.
See, because you remember when Joe Biden said, hey, you landlords, you can't kick anybody out. Remember when that happened?
Mm-hmm.
The landlords, the homeowners lost their butts. They lost profits big time. Then they said, all right, we're not taking those low income people. We're not taking those couples that are just starting out now. Now you have to have a 700 credit score and you're going to pay for this because we're going to weed out the useless eaters, so to speak. That's where this is going, people. You know who called them useless eaters.
Yeah,
and that's what's happening in this country.
Henry Kissinger. Also, Henry Kissinger predicted the day that we would beg for the UN to come in this country and establish peace.
Yeah, it wasn't in 1974 he wrote to control the food so they could depopulate the third world countries. He wrote the whole platform for that, didn't he?
He said you control the food, you control the people.
Yeah.
You control the oil, you control the countries, control the food, you control the people.
Right. Yeah. So you young couples out there, you're in your 20s, even if you're in your 30s, don't be ashamed if you got to move back home. Because listen, I'm 43 and I thought the challenges, I got married at 19. It's rough when you're 19 and you get married. You're young, you don't have a pot to pee in. All right.
I was 18 when I got married.
Yeah. We didn't have half the challenges that they do now, Greg. You know, they're facing a mountain. So you folks don't be ashamed if you got to move back home with mom and dad or grandma and grandpa. Take it as a blessing, work together and get self-sufficient. Many hands make light work. Take it as an opportunity by God to unite as a family and do something good, you know.
Yep. So we've got a chance here. We can still build a better, we can build our own little enclaves in the madness.
That's right.
And that's what we got to strive for. Build our own enclaves in the madness. Build our own families, our own tribes, our own networks. And I think we'll be growing toward a way to trade with each other outside of their monetary system and everything.
Yeah.
That's the things I like about the comm system that has been set up right now by Lee Wilbarger. It gives us a way to communicate, hopefully. So there's a lot of things out there. A lot of things out there that we can look to. We just hope we get time to get some of these things set in place before everything spins out of place.
Right.
You know, guys, just, you know, if you're in a city, if you can get out, get out. If not, be ready to get out real fast and make sure you got what you trust to go to. But now when it comes to tribes, you got to understand, it's kind of like getting married. You better know who you're getting involved with. You better know who you're bringing in. I mean, really know them ahead of time.
Right.
You got to get to know these people, and you need to. If you're going somewhere, you better know who this is you're going to too. So because
Yeah.
otherwise you're going to have a lot of expectations that aren't meeting, and there's going to be a lot of problems. So everybody needs to really understand what each expects from the other, and really work that out and have the resolve to work together. If you're getting some, a lot of people just want to come in and they really want to be freeloaders. They expect everybody to provide everything for them. So it don't work that way.
You don't work, you don't eat. That's what I say.
I did videos of my dad when he was alive, and some of the older videos on this channel, because I knew what they had to go through back in the Depression to survive. And I got him to talk about it. He said we had to scratch for a living. I mean, these guys got up at 4 o'clock in the morning. They went out and busted it all day long.
Yep.
And they didn't really get anything back for it except the right to sit at the table and eat.
Yep.
They got the shoes in the fall, and they would have 2 pieces of clothing to wear. They would have two. They would have something to wear to church, and they'd have something to wear the rest of the week. And that would be about it.
Yeah.
And so that was it, guys. There weren't closets. People didn't need them. They didn't have stuff to put in them. People were poor. I mean, they budget hard just to buy some coffee and some sugar and a little cloth maybe, or just some odds and ends like that. They worked all year. And the sharecroppers back in the day, they didn't make nothing till the crop went in. They would work all year, and they got no money until they sold that crop in the fall. So it's not like people. I got people I pay every day they work, and they're fortunate for that. And I'm trying to set up some sharecroppers. A lot of my crops are crops that will sell pretty quickly, because of microgreens become mature within a matter of days. And that's the good thing about some of our new techniques, things that we can do. But these people of old had to scrap real hard for a living, and that's what we're looking at. And if you don't pull your weight, at some point the community is not going to keep you. They're not going
That's right. That's right. Greg, my grandma lived off of lard sandwiches. I mean, we grew up as kids hearing about lard sandwiches, and picking, up here, if you got a cold, with the farming, and they didn't have the season extension methods back in the 30s and 40s that we have now. So if you had a cold season, you lived off of potatoes and, squash and things like that. People don't have a clue. There wasn't grocery stores where you could get fresh produce up in Wisconsin in the winter. It was root vegetables, carrots, potatoes, things like that. And if there was a bad year, you had to scrounge. People don't have a clue. I've told people for years, this coming year, you should make an attempt to produce 50% of your food. If you can produce 50% of your food, now double that by 3 times, and you won't even come close to what you would need if the shit hits the fan and you got to live off of what you grow. When I tell people how much you have to grow for a family of 4 to survive a year, now I can make food boxes, Greg, on very little. I can grow a lot on very little. But when we're talking about survival and eating X amount of calories through the season, I tell people how long your bed's got to be, and this is what your yield is going to be. They think, oh my God, I got to grow that much. I have close to 15,000 canning jars.
Wow, that's impressive. That's good. That is prepping, and that is an investment.
Yeah. And here's the thing, guys, I produce 100% of my meat, my produce, and I preserve it all. I've got, I got whole cows, the whole bit, but I still would buy the dry 25-year safe shelf food for emergencies, because you don't know what's going to happen. Our homes are our storage containers, right? We don't go to the grocery store, but what happens if we lose our home? You know what? Those pails of food you have, Greg, I'm not gonna say, but have you heard of what a food cache is?
Amen.
You should never keep all your food in one spot. Those make good for food caches. You can bury them. You can put them in a 50-gallon drum and you can bury them off site. You can put them at your other site and you can bury them so people don't know they're there.
These are sealed and the packs inside are sealed. So it's a great deal.
That's right.
This stuff will just last and last and last. And it's like money in the bank, especially the inflation coming at us. This is money in the bank, guys. So go to prepwithgreg.com to find it. Well, thank you, Stacy, for bringing that up. But that is why I got it and more. So
yeah, so you can't bury a canning jar. You know, the lids will rust.
that's right.
So everybody should have food caches because you don't know when I'll tell you what, if boots hits the ground, I've always said, like, my home is the bug out location. My home is the bug out location. But if boots hit the ground, if it's Red Dawn type of situation, guess what? You ain't staying in your home. You're not staying in your home at that point. At that point, you're the Russians when, Stalin takes over and you're on the move. And you should have plans in place with food caches so that you can go and get those things if you have to run. It's not far-fetched, people. We live in a society that watches Hollywood movies and is so desensitized to historical fact. Traditionally, all humans have migrated and moved, either due to, weather, climate change, because they had to move to grow food, or because of war. It was one of the two. So don't think in our modern society that can't happen to you. It can.
Well, guys, also think about this. You just may have to go maneuvers. You may have to strike out and go on maneuvers and live out in the woods. And so, bushcraft skills are good to have. I hope that one day cover bushcraft skills more in the future. I just hope my knees hold that. Ever since I've had a wreck, I've had a lot of trouble. It was first my ankles, now it's my knees. So, they've been bothering me a lot lately. So it's been one thing after another in that regard. But I love hiking. I always love getting out in the woods walking. I did some of my early videos out here in the woods walking, but it's I can still do some, but it's getting harder to do.
We walk my daughter and I walk a couple times a week, but on the weekends we go on big hikes. My 12-year-old can do a 10-mile hike with a 10-pound pack. We've got like 60,000 acres of public land here that has trails through the whole thing, hunting, fishing, the whole bit, right, butts right up to our property. We can go in there and you can get lost, and we'll hike through that. We'll take a whole Saturday and just go. Because, folks, I'm just going to say this, Greg, I believe we're going to get hit by an EMP. I believe that with every fiber of my being. I believe we're going to get hit. And if you are 50 miles, 100 miles, 300 miles from home, whatever it is, you got to get home. If you can't walk a mile without huffing and puffing, you're not coming home. You need to be, that's why we do that every week. We walk between 8 and 10 miles because that's on average. If you've got kids, that's the thing. Like, people in the military, they can ruck 30 miles in a day. Well, yeah, but they don't got kids in tow. You got kids in tow, 8 to 10 miles is all you're going in a day, So we do these things. We put packs on our back. I carry about 35 to 40 pounds in my pack. My husband carries 50. Our daughter carries 10 to 12 pounds because she's 12. We don't want to, and we go hiking. And we've done this long enough so that if we walk 5 miles in to hunt and we get a deer, we can drag the deer out without having a heart attack. So people need to start doing this. If you're not healthy, you need to get healthy. If walking a mile, if you can walk a mile and that's it, great. Do that for a week, but then next week walk 2 miles, and start doing it every other day. I milk cows every day, which is huge upper body. I work 3 hours a day, and my husband worked with me. This is kind of funny, Greg. My husband, well, it's not funny. The farmer owners, they lost their barn. It was devastating. All right. It was it was a separate barn from where the milking cows were, but it was still devastating. It was a horrific night. But my husband came in to help milk because everybody was dealing with the fire. And I'm going down the line and I'm putting milkers on and I'm just going. And my husband is, how the heck are you lifting and doing this? How are you doing this? You know, because the milkers aren't light. They're 4 or 5 pounds a piece. And you do that 200 times, you know, figure it out. And he said to me, he said, Stacy, he said, I didn't realize how bad of shape I was in until I came to that farm and I started milking with you. He's like, I couldn't just walk into that. If you can't walk, you know, as a man, he said, you were working me under the table. You know, so, you know, and my husband goes on those hikes with me every weekend. He can hike, but, you know, as far as that lifting and doing that work like that, he, you know, so guys, you just got to step out of your comfort zone, because the first act of protection and self-preservation towards your family is you being healthy. Because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of your kids. And that's a fact.
Amen. Amen. You got to take care of your kids. So, wow. Well, we covered a lot of ground. So we need to come back here and talk about some of these articles I sent you, what they're trying to do, family farms, the attack on, and again, it's an attack on independence, guys. The family farms are one of the last bastions of independence in the country. And there are those that just hate the notion of independence. They hate for anybody not to be working for somebody else or to be subservient to the system. So, you know, they want everybody sucked into the hive. And
that's right.
We're not exactly fans of the hive around here, I don't think. If you're a fan of the hive, you tell me in the chat room. I love the hive. Let's see if we get any of that. Except for that idiot troll that was in here, maybe trying to post illegal junk, and but they got taken care of pretty quickly. And
that's good.
Yeah, but you know, that just shows that we're on the right path, because we're getting attacked by people like that. The devils have tried to come in here and they did not prevail. And
that's right. Amen.
They won't.
Amen.
Prevail. So, all right. I think we've yeah, Gorgeous Awesome says, Desert Rose, oh, you're a sweet woman. She is. She really is. And we got a lot of sweet, good people in here. We got a lot of good people here in the room. This is family, guys. We're family here. Occasionally somebody comes in off the street and tries to make a ruckus, but family seems to be taking care of business here tonight. So
hunters.
Exactly. So if you got anything else you want to add, I think maybe we're about to the point we ought to just wrap it up now. What do you think?
Yeah, I think we can wrap it up. I got a lot of work. We're trying to get ready for winter here, so I got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and get a lot of work done. So yeah, we can, but you guys, my channel's Battle Axe. Sustainable Stir is tutorial channel. You can go sub there. Just understand I'm not making any more tutorial stuff. I'll answer your questions there every couple weeks. That's Sustainable Stirds. But the new channel is Battle Axe. It's just as it sounds, easy to spell. I'm on TikTok and YouTube, but I really want to get to that 1,000 on YouTube, because I want to go live. And guys, I'm going to interview Greg soon. And I'm going to ask him questions that he's never talked about. So you have to tune in, because I've been writing down some questions that I got for you, Greg, that I don't think you've even thought of.
Oh, well, you went on Battle Axe from 111 to 133 subscribers tonight.
Fantastic. Thank you, guys. Thanks.
For that. Go in and if you're in here and you've not subscribed to Stacy's Battle Axe channel, get over there and do it right now. She definitely deserves your support. She's a real patriot. So we just threw, a couple of us, Regina and I both just threw in the links here. So check it out, guys, and go subscribe right now. So go over there. It says, thanks for the introduction, Greg. Yeah, I've had Stacy on my channel several times before, and she talks about this EMP thing, guys. She had dreams about this, and she didn't know anything about EMP. She came to me asking questions about it, and I told her, wow, what you dreamed about is like one of the most probable ways for a sneak surprise attack that a lot of strategists wouldn't even think of. So the fact that she had a vision that powerful really struck me as being authentic. Stacy is not an electrical engineer. She's not a space scientist. She milks cows and runs a dairy, at a dairy farm, and runs a market
CSA.
house, CSA home. Oh, by the way, still looking for that CSA material from you.
What's that?
You were going to send me a bunch of sample stuff for CSA, as we're looking to set one up here too. Remember that?
Oh, yes. Sorry about that.
Still looking for that. So,
I would get on that. You get busy and there it goes. So.
Well, Florida man, an EMP is, if somebody was going to attack us, that would be the first thing they'd want to do. And the kind of visions that Stacy had were really unnerving. And we got too many people that could do this to us right now. So it's the low hanging fruit. It's the easy way to take this country down to its knees and wipe us out. And it's just too easily done. A lot of us, I have held 2 power grid defense conferences, because I've been trying for years to get started on a power grid. And so far, it's not happened. Well, the M-class flare probably won't do it, Doug. Hey, Doug's in the room. I need to do an interview with Doug too. And I got to get back to the border interviews again with Anthony. Doug's a real patriot in here, and he's been on this channel for some time.
Yeah.
He's the guy that introduced me to Anthony, by the way. So anyway,
I've been following Anthony for some time. He's a good guy. You guys need to tune in. That border, that's affecting us up here in Wisconsin. You guys really need to stay on that.
Yeah, and you got stories about the guys that come over from Afghanistan too. They're real shocking.
Yeah.
We got more on that. So guys, we got a lot of stuff going on here. PCG's Terry said, I just heard that Wisconsin accent. Yeah, it's there. It's there, guys. So and Doug says Anthony's definitely staying busy. He is good guy though, and he's got a lot of heart, because he's a patriot. So guys, I guess we don't have anything to add at this point. I just want to say thank you all. New Day as always is telling you to stay strong, Stacy, and we know you will.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Greg. I appreciate you so much. You know that.
Likewise. So everybody, I appreciate everyone for watching. I appreciate Mickey Mooney. He is like the patron of my channel, because he has really kicked out some money and super chats. He's tried a whole lot to help out, and it really does help out a whole lot. And he's been, encouraging other people to follow suit. So thank you, Mickey Mooney, for all you've done. I'll thank you, Mods. Mods, you worked your off today, because we had that troll attack, and y'all took care of that. So appreciate all the work from all you mods. And I saw y'all having some debate amongst each other. That's good and healthy. So we can strike a good balance, and what's done, in the mod area there. And yeah, I like clean channel, guys. I want to keep it clean. Let's keep the topics clean. Let's do 2 things I always ask: respect each other, and no cursing. So let's keep the cursing out, guys. Let's keep it clean. And we do have a family channel. And Doug said he subbed to you, so I expect your sub count will continue to increase, especially as people watch video later. Absolutely, guys. Go in and sub to Stacy's channel. She's great. Check out Doug too, guys. He's a patriot. He's in the room here, and a lot of other people here. So
I am sub to Doug's channel too. So
yeah. And Gorgeous Awesome does some beautiful work. They've gave me a beautiful necklace I've got on right here.
Ah, is that a crystal?
Yeah, in copper. Look at that copper work. Isn't that amazing? And
wow.
They gave me another one. This is supposed to be a healing one. Where's this at? Here it is. Oops. Look at the copper work.
Look at that. Gosh, that's talent.
Master artisans, guys. Isn't that beautiful? Kind of reminds me of a ram's horns on each side.
Yeah, it does. It does.
And then they've Woden's Wooden Wanderers made of apple wood. And New Day always warns me about where I point this apple wood for some reason. Anyway, and we like to have a little fun, guys. Space Girl, how you doing, Space Girl? See you in the room. And Mary Anthony says, thank you. Be well. I will. I'll try. Victory says, I love you, Greg. Hey, I love every one of you guys. So I think the followers here are making for a beautiful family, and I'm sure your followers do too. And we're going to share a lot of followers because we're all in this together.
That's right.
All in this together, guys. And we're all, and our objective is just to get through this and survive. Like I say, survive, thrive, and stay out of the hive. That's our objective. And what
That's
is wrong
right.
with that? Come on, guys, what in the world's wrong with that? Some people think that's awful. I don't know why. They just want us to be in the Borg. Alrighty, I beat this horse enough. Horse, poor horse. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, watchers, super chatters, Mickey Mooney. Thank you, mods. Just thank you, everyone, for being here. Thank you all for being part of the family. And Stacy, thank you for being you. Thank you for being a strong, gritty girl who is a proud patriot. We really need patriots like you. And it's an honor to know you.
You
So,
too.
thank you, everyone. And